Hi, cities. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim and thank or Cimnanya, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. So today we'll be talking something very important, and it's about how Black women trigger white palm-colored insecurity. And this is just a topic that I think, like I mean, it's kind of broad in the sense that this is some people's day-to-day, should I say, encounter. Yeah, a lot of people encounter all this, like, when they see Black women or they see Black people, they are kind of triggered, especially in workspaces and all that. Sometimes they are called angry, they are called bitter, they are called, they say that they are masculine. That stereotype they kind of use on Black people. But there is something that I really found very interesting about all these things that we're talking about, because one great thing I love about all this is that understanding the correct history and also scrutinizing the metrics of analyzing history, is the key to having freedom in this present situation. Because sometimes most of the things we are doing, we really need have to use our number six, and like you all can remember what has been going on about Black women saying that they would rather work with white men than working with white women. So when you look at the whole thing, you see reasons why they do not want to work with them. Let's get into this.
I was wondering how we could break down the sapphire caricature that's still being used to control Black girls, and you guys handed it right to me. Disappointed some of you yet again, because I am supposed to perform 24/7 Black gratitude and limit my thoughts on media and culture to light, easy breezy take. I am supposed to be miserable looking at things I love, movies, history, and media, and looking at the context that gives those things meaning. And I'm not supposed to be using my time to look at how those stories and histories affect your everyday life, because I'm supposed to spend all my time thanking God that I was born on fifth base. Instead of commiserating with other victims, I should be shopping more than I already shop, and playing more than I already play, and relaxing more than I already relax. Everyone's so concerned with me and my misery. I promise you I'm good. On a serious note, to everyone who is concerned that I am self-victimizing myself, I want to apologize to you on behalf of all the people who taught you to first minimize your own feelings and your own experiences and your own pain. That's not easy. I have famously never been a chill person. As a kid, when I found out about the system for storing chickens in pens, I cried. And then when I found out about human trafficking, I was destroyed. I have always been obsessed with patterns and stories and why we do what we do. It's no surprise to anyone who knows me that I became a student of government and history and politics, because not only am I interested in what we do, but I'm interested in why we justify it, how we justify it. My idea of a wild weekend is to go to the same museum 3 times in a row. Last weekend, I went to a museum and I got very jealous and wanted to rip the button off of her. But there's a lady called the Explainer, and her job is literally to yap and talk about everything in the museum to people who come and visit. My life crumbles overnight. You can rest assured you will find me leading a team of explainers at the museum. That's what I get to do here, and I love it. And I love talking about these American stories with you guys. Why does that trigger people, and is that new? Nope, it's not. And today we're going to introduce that little mechanism that's used to shut Black women up. Because if they can't own your body, they sure as heck try to own your mind. For my white women and my non-Black women and everyone else, this still applies to you, because the mechanism for divorcing you from your lived experiences, that sense of weirdness when you feel something or an unpleasant interaction, that divorce is used to protect prejudice and bias. Being able to gaslight and silence you into never critiquing anything is how they keep you from finding solidarity with other people. So the sapphire caricature came out of the 1800s, and it originated with the sassy mammy type. So what this is it portrays Black women as angry, bitter nags, emasculating forces, constant complainers, very hypersensitive. Let's remember what Black women were historically supposed to be: servile, non-threatening, passive, and unseen. In the 1800s, the normalcy of putting Black women in those boxes through enslavement was being politically and economically challenged by the culture at large. Women were being seen in wider culture for the first time as people who might have opinions about what is happening to them. They might not be passive, they might actually be active agents of change. So remember, this was a huge part of Harriet Tubman's success. Her disguise was not necessarily her clothes, it was her blackness. Because people saw this short black woman walking around acting like a servant, and they didn't assume she was a danger to white supremacy. They didn't assume she was this great liberator and this spy for the Union. He used that story of her being a serving, docile, quiet woman with no opinions to her advantage, and that's how she liberated so many people and brought the Union to victory. Do you know how many other black women, white famous movie stars, white women used this idea of female passivity to their advantage to get things done, and not only the Civil War but other wars? A great essay, it's free online, it's by Lily Loughborough, and it's called The Male Glance, and it's how when we look at female works, we tend to not assume intentionality or genius. Think that in a glance, we know the totality of the woman's mind and her work and her genius in this, and it's not much. And if it is genius, if there is complications in it, it's because it was an accident. If you want to say I'm making that up or that's me self-victimizing again, I would encourage you to take one semester of American history or read one book, and you will see this is not the story I would make up. It's very depressing. Back to the sapphire thing. By creating the sassy inherentness of black women, people, the ruling class, could shunt responsibility of the burden of white supremacy and sexism onto the person they're oppressing and not themselves. Black women aren't complaining because we treat them like dogs and they have no agency and there's nothing but violence in the society for them. No, they're complaining because they're inherently, naturally bitter hags. They love being victims, so it's natural for them to be upset over every little thing. What can you expect? They're black women. Worse, nothing's ever good enough for women like that. Why do you think they're emasculating men? It's not because they're challenging patriarchal structures, they just hate men. The sneaky thing about creating this caricature is that the ruling class could create this illusion that looked like that they were in a society, that they had created a society where black women could blow off steam safely. Truth was, politically and economically, they still had this massive social power and grip to violently keep black women silent and make sure that they couldn't complain about what was being done to them. During this time, there was a ramp up of terrorism on black people by white supremacists, lynching, all sorts of things. It was extrajudicial violence that said, don't complain, don't look the wrong way, and don't you dare blink, because if you do, we will unalive you. As the federal system was freeing black people, the control and violence that you needed to uphold the power structure of old, it had to be privatized. If you have this idea of sassy black women, you can pretend to be way more generous than you actually are. In reality, if you challenged the social system as a black woman, you were punished violently. Jim Crow Museum said it best, and I'm going to read it to you now. The sapphire's desire to dominate and her hypersensitivity to injustices makes her a perpetual complainer. But she does not criticize to improve things. Rather, she criticizes because she is unendingly bitter and wishes that unhappiness on others. The sapphire caricature is a harsh portrayal of African American women, but it is more than that. It is a social control mechanism that is employed to punish black women who violate the societal norms that encourage them to be passive, servile, non-threatening, and unseen. How convenient is that? You, rich black girl, who have an issue with a racist server, you're not a patron paying good money who just wants to be respected. You're hypersensitive. When you're a researcher in film and media and you critique a film's sexist message, you're not a professional with a critical thinking mind. You're just a nag. You are upset with a backhanded compliment from a colleague. You're not somebody who has inherent self-respect and want to be treated as such. You're somebody who needs to grow up and just handle things. Undermining of your critical thought is how the social power that you recently just got in history gets chipped away at. I was going to call you a sapphire to your face, but this is an idea that hasn't gone anywhere because the majority of Americans have not unpacked the assumptions, racist beliefs, and the things that they've inherited from generations of people. Sapphire accusations are super useful now because it helps handle this social transformation of black women from long-suffering victims fated to just bear pain to human beings who can assert their own personhood and agency. A way of both accusing us of not taking what we can get, but also being upset with us for not bearing things well. We are no longer good victims. We're not supposed to complain about anything because we have it so good. I will be the first to admit I have it really, really good. Embarrassingly good. Don't miss the part where I am thrilled and I get to choose with my own free time that I want to make media about American history and politics. Maybe you're not used to seeing it, but this is what ease and happiness looks like on a black girl. Joke is on me for thinking I could fit all this into one video. The tricky thing, though, I will say about sassiness is that If it's earmarked as unnecessary and hypercritical and hypersensitive, what that does is it makes existing power structures that are oppressive not seem as oppressive as they actually are. Because we're not reacting to something real, we're overreacting to something small. Sassiness can be cute, it can be feisty and adorable and something acceptable, and therefore still in control of the ruling class, still something that amuses those who are on top. In short, there's nothing in short about me. To end this, if we're sassy and we're adorable and just little complainers and princesses, we still have it really good. And there's nothing to actually tear down or attack. Do you think the sassy mammy caricature ended like in the 1800s where it began? I am not so happy to inform you that if your grandparents were born any time between the 30s and the 40s, they got a good dose of that. And that was probably one of the first understandings of what black women were. And if they are not like massive anti-racist activists, they probably haven't rooted that out of themselves. And so it's still zooming around in this community. You're going to have to finish this tomorrow, but I would like to know where people tell you that you have been self-victimized and if you're being just sassy and angry. Said I'm really grateful for all of you. You guys are wonderful, and it is so much fun discussing these things with you. See you later.
So this is all I got from this, and I really do appreciate her. She really knows how to analyze all this very well, and she did a great job, absolutely a wonderful job. And I'm going to start with why is it that black women, most especially, cannot air their view or their opinion without being criticized or being called angry, I really do not know where they got that from, because sometimes I look at them, I am like, wait, why is it that we cannot even be we, like black people cannot be themselves, they cannot express themselves, they cannot do what they want to do, because most times there are, especially in workplaces, or situations where you have a lot of pop-colored people around, because that is where all these stereotypes started from. It's just really very hard to be you. Okay, you want to be you, but you cannot be you. You are talking to them gently, and the next thing you hear is that you are raising your voice or you are shouting. But when you want to laugh, I laugh out so loud. I laugh so loud, right? And and then the energy you give them when you are laughing, and then when you are not happy, and you also give them the same energy, and they are like, you are angry or you are over. And sometimes they are going to do something and tell you that you are overreacting. How are you supposed to tell me how to react when you provoked me, right? So all these are the things that I look out, and I am like, I don't know how or when all these are gonna end, because looking at it, this is not what we created. This is just somehow they all of a sudden started seeing us and the rest of it and all that. It's just really crazy. And I like how she summarized it, and a lot of people were also able to weigh in their own. I see a lot of people saying that this is like my day-to-day experiences and all that, probably at work or when I work with them, people that work with colored people and all that. They just wake up and tell you that you are always angry, and that you are, you are black women or black are so masculine in nature and all that. And how do you know who is masculine and who is not masculine? Really, I don't even know how they arrived at this. But it's weird, them questioning your, I don't know, I personally feel like it's just their own insecurity now. It's just them being insecure, or because if you are not insecure, why are you so bothered about how people talk, or how people do things, or how people laugh, or how people get angry, or trying to express themselves, or how they probably do not want to associate at a particular point in time? How come, because I feel like they are triggered, because if you are not triggered, you can be coming out to say all this and all that. And sometimes I feel like as somebody that look like me or something, you are not supposed to I don't know, you are not supposed to have anything. You are just supposed to be there. That's why most times when they see you in some certain places, they start asking some silly questions. Because I remember, like, some black women who traveled, probably they were on cruise and all that, and they saw, I mean, Pe0ple people saw her and they were asking her if she is the maid or, like, a cleaner. I mean, it's just really, I don't know, but it's crazy. It's just like me. I mean, probably boarding and, or maybe, like, traveling. I probably saw a palm-colored person and I'm asking the person, probably in a cruise, asking the person if you are the maid. Why would I even ask you that? So sometimes the audacity and the guts is just something I don't know where they get from and all that. But then all this reminds us about the history and how it all started. And I love it because people that look like me are already woke and they already know what they are kind of how they maneuver them, especially workplaces and some open places and the rest of it. So sometimes Black people do not want to associate because they do not want to be called names. They do not want to also be disrespected, because I feel like it's also disrespecting somebody, or they just also triggered. But what is triggering you? I hear them saying or tell a lot of Black women that they are bitter because they refuse to allow them to die, to be like, to probably, if they are trying to be ready towards you, ready to desist towards you, and you, like, shun them straight up, you are actually a bitter person, sincerely speaking, and that is it. So with all seriousness, this is a very great message and I absolutely enjoyed it, and I hope you all got something you want to tell me, probably your experiences that have triggered them and all that. So you see, all this coming out is still boiling down to why a lot of Black women said they would rather work with people that they would rather work with white men than work with pan-colored women. So you all can see they have had it all. They have seen a lot of it. I mean, they have experienced a lot, that they are also running away, looking for a way to protect their peace, looking for a way to, like, to not be called names. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.